Glasses off. Hey everyone, welcome to my channel. My name is Victor, and today I really want to focus on some basics. I feel like they will be very important when you want to start off, especially with how I want to start things off with this channel moving forward. I want to really take the time to be able to go over some great fundamentals when it comes to tarot, and just want to cover over all those basics. As a really quick introduction for those who are new to the channel, my name is Victor Lancaster, and I like to create various content here on YouTube. But predominantly for this channel, I want to focus on a lot more on tarot and a lot more metaphysical type of content. This video is going to focus a lot into how to start tarot and certain things that you can expect, maybe how to go about it in a very safe way and feeling very open and welcoming to everybody, as this is something that anyone can really pick up and just kind of start off doing as well. So I just want to start off with that, and yeah, let's see where this goes. All right, so to start things off, what exactly is tarot? So tarot, in very simple terms, is a 78 card deck that was illustrated and known as the Rider-Waite Tarot. Ever since this was created back in the early 1900s, we can also see a lot of variations of the same art that have come from this original one as well. The art is very beautiful, and it can tell a lot by just looking into what each image has to offer. This 78 card deck usually comes into 22 major arcana cards and 56 minor arcana that are usually dictated. You can think of it almost like a suit of cards with an addition of 22 major arcana cards. In terms of what you can actually expect is really quite a few simple things. Is that tarot is used as a tool for divination. And what that means is that it allows you to see a lot of the things that are currently happening around you, energies at play, or just consequences of actions that have already occurred, that we are just getting a lot more insight into what that is going to happen. I like to believe that the future is written in pencil, and because of that, we have a lot of decision making in our path, and just as much as I do and just as much as you do. And that is what shapes our upcoming future. And based on those decisions, each decision that we make has a consequence. Because of these consequences, a lot of these things are already there for us to benefit or reap from, whether it is our own decisions or decisions made by other people. Because of that, tarot is just a way to bring insight into what everything is happening at play, consequences that are going to be brought forward, and just things that are happening that we may not be aware of, and energies at play. So one of the first things that you will probably want to do is that you want to acquire a tarot deck. A tarot deck can be used in many different ways. I have friends that have even used a normal set of playing cards to do tarot readings with, which really has no images, so they have a lot more of that intuitiveness and a lot of that psychic potential within them that can bring that potential forward. But people like you and I, we probably just want to start off with a very basic deck. I recommend picking one up from your local metaphysical shop, or you can even pick one up from a bookstore. For example, Barnes & Nobles has tarot decks, which is a little bit crazy to think about, but it is true. That's actually how I picked up my first tarot deck, the Manga Tarot. It is a very beautiful deck, and it has a lot of really great illustrations. It has a lot of really great pictures, and I frankly enjoy it a lot. I still use it to this day. It is slightly worn, but that's just because of how much I love using it and all of the potential that a deck can bring, and how much you just kind of get to connect with it. When it comes to choosing a tarot deck, there is no right or wrong answer. I know I've made a video in the past on the different ways on how I like to go about choosing a tarot deck, whether it is from doing a Kickstarter or going to the metaphysical shop, ordering one online based on the images that you like from what you see, and other various methods as well. But once you do acquire a deck, one of the main questions is, well, how do I start? I have a deck, now what do I do? One of the first things that I will recommend is probably just do a simple spread. And what a spread is a way that you want to lay down your cards to be able to tell the story of whatever question is being asked. For example, if you just want to see how your day is going to be, you can go as simple as just doing a 1-card draw, and just to be able to figure out the cards and meaning behind it, and probably how that's going to play into your day. You can also get a little bit more complicated. For example, if you just want to get a lot more details and you have a much more in-depth question, you can go into more complicated spreads like the Celtic Cross. This kind of spread uses 9 different cards. And each different card, the way that it's laid out, does give a lot of different meanings and a lot of different interpretations. And you can see how the different cards even get to interact with one another, especially when you want to tell the story. Choosing a spread, or even just doing a single card and trying to be able to figure out answers to questions that you have, or you just want to get into a routine of just kind of seeing how your day is going to be like. My recommendation is just keep it simple when you first start off. Really try to get a vibe of what the card is trying to tell you and just lay them out in the best way that feels the most comfortable to you. Personally, when I first started off, I like doing sets of 3 cards at a time, where I will lay down 3 cards at once. And then from there, I'm able to kind of decipher what is the answer to the question that I'm getting. If it's not clear enough, or if there's a card that just kind of is itching to get a little bit more of a story out, then I can draw additional cards on top of that, but I usually do them in sets of 3. Sometimes one of those cards will stand out more than the other, but it is very important for you to pick out whatever feels the most comfortable to you. I've even created my own different spreads because I just want to really test out what feels more comfortable to me. And I like to really see things on the way that they resonate with me, that are going to help me be able to communicate that to the person, or including myself, whoever it is that is asking the question. How do you do a reading? And now that you have your deck and you got your cards laid out, now it can get a little bit confusing, because now this is the part where tarot kicks in the most, and where you just need to trust your gut a little bit. Once you have your cards laid out, you can go ahead and you can start to interpret what the different card meanings are. For example, if when you draw your cards, you end up getting a card like the Fool, right? You can go ahead and you can start to really decipher what is the meaning behind this card based on the question that you have asked. For example, if I have a card that says, hey, I want to start a new business, and then the card that you draw is the Fool. Well, really trust your gut as a first and foremost thing that I'm going to really emphasize is, what is this card telling you about? Is it because it's a foolish attempt because of the card's name? Or is there something deeper within the image as well? Is the image trying to tell you, hey, if you're going to do it, don't rush into it. Maybe do a little bit more research so you're not jumping off a cliff. Perhaps there is someone that's giving you advice, like it is shown with the dog. Maybe do some effort to heed into some of that advice, and being able to maybe do a little bit of more research, or maybe heed somebody's advice prior to you just jumping into starting your own business. Or perhaps you see it as something that's very risky because you're ready to fall off the cliff, and that's exactly how it makes you feel. Maybe that anxiety is starting to get to you, but at the end of the day, you see that the Fool is just being happy and is not trying to care so much about the consequences of how this decision is going to affect them, but rather they're just trying to go and follow their heart. Maybe they're just trying to weigh out all their options, and they're just trying to choose what is best for them, that is going to make them the happiest. And maybe this is one of those times where you look at your other cards to go along with it, or you draw some more to figure out, hey, let me clarify this a little bit more, because I'm getting something along the lines of this might be a foolish attempt, or maybe I should just let go a little bit and just not care so much about the consequences, as long as I try to make myself happy in this attempt. Well, perhaps you draw another card, right? What if it's the card like the Lovers? The Lovers will be able to tell you that perhaps you just need to follow your passion. Focus a lot more on making yourself happy and doing the things that you love the most instead of worrying so much about the anxiety that comes from starting the new business or the consequences that may come from it. Really be thoughtful when it comes into to following that passion versus worrying so much about the consequences. But let's say you do a card like maybe the Seven of Swords, right? Maybe with that card, it's like, hey, maybe don't jump into it right away. There's a lot of things that you need to figure out that perhaps you don't know yet, or perhaps you may be talking with a partner to go into it, and perhaps they may not have the best intentions. Again, this is all very subjective, and you have to see the overall picture of what these cards are trying to tell you. If something within your gut is telling you, hey, this card means this, probably try to follow that, because that's usually when your intuition is coming into play, and there is nothing more valuable in tarot than your own intuition. Now, even though I just explained all of this, and you can look at the cards in many different ways after you try to interpret them, the biggest question is, well, how do I know if I'm right? How do I know I'm accurate? Is this gonna come true? And the answer is, well, there's no real way to know right at the moment. There may be times where you're doing readings for other people and they may be able to give you validation right away, which I think allows you to know if you are on the right track. However, let's just say you're doing a reading for yourself, or perhaps you're doing a reading for somebody that's pertaining to something that's going to come in the future. Well, then how do you validate that this is all going to happen? How do you validate this is all true? Well, one of the things that I highly recommend is that you have a tarot journal. This journal should be able to help you keep track of the readings that you're doing. For example, if you are trying to keep a record of the questions that you're getting, the cards that you are drawing, the deck that you even used, and what was that intuition feeling that you got from when you read those cards, you want to be able to record that somewhere, whether that is on a book like the one that I have here, or if you just want to do a video, or if you want to do a blog, or any other way to just kind of keep some sort of track of what you're doing, is going to be very, very important. And then once some time passes, you will be able to go back into these journal entries, and you're able to decipher if you were right on the money or maybe something was off about what you read. I think it is very important for you to be able to go back into readings that you have had, questions that were made, and even ask for some validation if this was a reading for somebody else. Follow up with them. Don't be afraid to ask them, hey, remember that question that you had? How did that turn out? If you were right on the money, then I want you to really start making connections of, okay, this card meant this for me, and this card paired with that one meant this. Is that something that you're going to keep seeing over and over again? Or perhaps, hey, with these two cards, I did not feel very confident, but this is what I said. Was I right on the money? Was there something that didn't happen that I wasn't sure about? And then just try to fill in some of those blanks. And there's always room for you to get better, and for you to progress, and for you to really feel like you're learning and growing, because this is a process where you want to keep going at it, and you want to keep getting better. And what better way to do that than to go back into the things that you have already asked, a lot of the questions that you try to answer using the cards, what cards were being drawn, and how that all came to play out, and how accurate that ends up being. All right, so now you have all of this ready to go. One of the additional questions is, well, then I've seen or I've heard, you can have additional tools, maybe things that can help you do readings a lot easier. What do you recommend? And to be honest, right now, if you're just starting off like level 1, let's just kind of get you dusted off if you're coming back into it, or if this is something you're trying to venture for the first time, I will personally recommend, don't worry too much about tools. However, crystals can be a really great companion into your tarot journey. For example, if you are looking into maybe adding some crystals, the benefits that they can have when you go and do tarot readings is that one thing you might notice is that you become very drained, that you spend a lot of time, a lot of effort, a lot of mental finesse into being able to figure out what these cards are saying and what the readings are trying to do. And One thing that's very important is that you don't want to drain yourself. And also you want to be able to have a way to keep tapping into your intuitiveness as much as possible as well. And crystals can do a really great job at doing that. For example, I recommend that if you're just first starting off to do just a clear quartz, a crystal quartz, just something clear that's quartz is going to help out a lot, because the quartz is known to be as an amplifier. It is something that really enhances the powers and abilities that come from crystals themselves. And then if you pair it with something like amethyst, which is an extremely versatile crystal, you'll be able to really hone in into the energy and the effort that it takes to be able to do tarot readings. You'll be able to harness in that power, and you might not be as strained at the end of the day once you start using these. If you want to tap into something a little bit different, perhaps you want to tap a little bit more into your psychic abilities or into your own intuition. Maybe you're trying to tap into that gut feeling and just have it be a lot more consistent and a lot more aware of it. Maybe consider picking up an azurite or a lapis lazuli. Those are really great options for you to tap into that other sense that you have that is going to help you do these tarot readings. Perhaps you're not really good at using words, and perhaps communicating what you're seeing can be pretty difficult. Perhaps try to consider getting an angelite, or you can try also considering getting a aquamarine. Those are really great stones that really help with the ability to communicate with others and be able to give you perhaps the right words for you to be able to come forward and communicate what you are thinking, and your thoughts are able to resonate with the other person who is asking these questions. But what about other types of tools, like perhaps oracle decks, perhaps pendulums, runes, etc.? Those are things that I'm going to cover on a separate video. I just want to stick to mostly just the basics here, but those are options that you can explore down the road. But yeah, this is mostly what I have for this video. Now, I know that because of how basic this is, I want to address some questions that I personally had when I started picking up tarot, and maybe some things that make you a little bit hesitant, and maybe dispel some of those rumors. First question is, do you need to be gifted your first deck? And the answer to that is no. You don't have to be gifted your first deck. I think this is something that gets assumed very often, because back when tarot was around, usually used by gypsies, and people who would just travel around to a lot of different places, those were the only times you will see a deck of cards in this manner be brought forward. And the only way to really get your hands on it is because somebody had to give it to you. You couldn't go out to the store and just get one. It's not something that is as popular as it is today. So you can go to a bookstore like Barnes and Nobles, go to Amazon, or you can go to Etsy, you can go to a Kickstarter, and you can pick your own deck. Just make sure that whatever deck you end up picking really resonates with you, and that the pictures that you're seeing within those decks are things that just come very naturally and easy to you, and you're able to recognize them. These are pictures that really speak to you. And if it takes you a little while to find a good deck, that's no problem. There are so many different decks out there that I'm pretty sure you'll find one that's right for you. Okay, so the other question that I know I've had and others have had is, do you need to be a psychic, or do you need to be a witch in order for you to do tarot? And the answer is no, but it can help. What I mean by that is tarot is again a use for divination. It is a tool that you can use to be able to really tell what's going on around. People like psychics are able to have a much easier time to do this because they already have other senses that are very active, that are able to discern all these different things. But people perhaps like you and I, we are not that attuned, or perhaps it's not something that it comes very easy to us. But I do know that everyone has a gut feeling of sorts, and you can call that your intuition. We all have a certain level of intuitiveness that we're born with, and that's the very intuition that you can tap into when it comes to reading tarot. And I think that's what makes it very accessible to everybody, and it makes it very special for anybody to just pick up rather easy and quickly. It's just a matter of you tapping into that gut feeling and that intuition that you have, and being able to associate it with those tarot cards, and being able to really harness that and being able to really tell what is going on around and get the answers that you need from the cards. Another question that I have had is, well, you do tarot, so you must communicate with evil spirits, maybe something similar to like a Ouija board. And the answer is no, not really, with a huge asterisk next to it. The reason I'm saying that is because the purpose of tarot, especially if this is the intention that you want to go into it with, is to be able to use it as a divination tool. You don't need spirits to be coming through and communicating with you through tarot. Now, keep in mind that because it is a divination tool, spirits are going to be drawn to tarot. That is just inevitable. It also comes with crystals or anything metaphysical. Spirits are kind of drawn into that, because they might be able to communicate with the person that uses them. But just because that is a possibility, it doesn't mean that has to be the intention that you use it with. I'll give you an example. I had experiences where I will start drawing cards and I can feel a spirit near me. Although I'm an intuition, that's just how I feel them. It just comes kind of intuitively to kind of feel them sometimes, especially when I'm doing tarot. And sometimes that gut feeling is able to tell me, hey, this person is using these cards to tell a message to the person that you're communicating with, or maybe to you because you have a question, and these are guides or spirits that may have those answers for you or able to discern an answer for you. And if that happens, don't be freaked out. Don't worry about it. That's just kind of what happens and what's normal. But that doesn't mean that the spirit that comes with it is an evil spirit or is a malicious spirit, especially if you have no intentions of being anywhere near one or having any kind of interactions with them. You can just use tarot to have those interactions with just your own intuition and to just see what is happening around you. That does not have to involve with spirits. But again, just keep in mind that it could draw a spiritual attention, but just because that happens doesn't mean that it's an evil or bad spirit associated with. Is tarot similar to like a Ouija board? Are you able to communicate with the spirit, open up a portal using it, and see what happens? And the thing is that I think tarot and Ouija boards are completely different. Very, very different, because Ouija boards can be a portal for spirits or other entities to come in through the board, because it opens up a portal of sorts. Think of it like a Doctor Strange. And they can just come through and you have to be able to close it, so this way whatever spirits or entities are visiting can go back to where they came from. And that's where it gets a little bit tricky with a Ouija board. If you use a tarot deck, it's completely different, because you're not trying to summon or purposely try to communicate with a spirit, but rather you're just trying to pick up on energies, pick up on consequences of actions being done by you or by others, or other things at play, and you're just trying to get insight to what that is, which doesn't have to be talking with a spirit. It's just, they're just two completely different things. We're talking about tarot being like an apple, and then the Ouija board being like an Oreo cookie. They're not the same. They're completely different. They might be within the same food association. You can associate them with food, but they're just not related in that sense. The other question is, do you need to cleanse your deck? And if you do, how often do you do it? And this is more of a personal question for you. I think cleansing decks is a really great idea, because there is a lot of energies that get associated when you do tarot, and you can get something like a selenite wand that is going to help you cleanse your deck. And you can do it as often as you want, whether you want to do it after every reading, or if you want to do it every month, or whenever you see fit. There is no right or wrong answer here. It's just whatever feels the most comfortable to you. It's just mostly for you to cleanse the energies that are attached to a deck. So this way that does not affect future readings, if that's something that you're worried about. Okay, now that we covered all of this, the last question is, well, how do you want to store your deck? And To be honest, consider it like a tool. And you want to store tools in their boxes, or if you want to get, I actually have a basket that I've kept for a while, which is where this teddy bear is sitting at. I used to store my tarot decks there as long as with my crystal, just to kind of carry it with me. I have it stored, I have it safe, I have a place where I know where I'm always gonna find it. And so store it as carefully as you want to, but that just comes specifically to your own comfort level. And that's it for everything. This is everything that I wanted to cover for this very beginner video. I know it's a little bit long, but I just really want to set forward the fundamentals and the things that are going to be the most important for what's going to set the tone for the rest of this channel and things that I'm going to be building up upon. Was there anything that I particularly missed, or was there something that I really needed to include in this video? Well, let me know in the comments. I love hearing from you guys, and any suggestions on how I can improve, or maybe things that I might have missed. These are things that I can include on future videos as well. If you're interested in getting more information on this channel, or just want to enjoy more content, feel free to hit the subscribe button, or you can also check me out on my Twitch channel, which is twitch.tv /Victor_Lancaster, where I stream on Sundays usually. I like to come up with ideas for future videos that I want to come up with, and it also gives me an opportunity to also do readings for you guys and just be able to communicate, just have a good time overall over there as well. So without further ado, everyone, take care and see you next time.